Hey, hello, and welcome back to my channel. Apologies for the appearance. I just decided to do this impromptu spring cleaning video, and I think I'm going to try to not edit this because I get the feeling that this could be a very long, drawn out video. So I just decided to do some spring cleaning because looking around at my plants, I have a lot of things that I just haven't looked at through the winter time. Propagations, other plants that are growing. Look at this. Ugh, look at this. The root system on this is just insane, and I've now waited so long that it's gonna be kind of difficult to get that undone. But yeah, things like that, things like this that are just sitting here in my shelving unit. My shelving unit has gone crazy with just stuff, and so I try really hard to eliminate things in my house, and I often just throw things out willy-nilly without thinking about it. It's a problem and helpful, but I really need to stop and look at what I have going on and what needs to be fixed, because I have plants that I think I'm just gonna be done with and get rid of. I've already done plant purges several times. I did one last spring, I feel like, summer or maybe fall. I sold a lot of plants in a garage sale and gave a lot of plants away. And so I think I want to do that. There are some plants that I feel like I kind of ruined, honestly. I feel like I jumped the gun on chopping them during the winter time, and now I'm super bummed about it and might just chop them back even more. I don't know, but welcome. This is a channel where I talk about my houseplants and do DIYs, and so if that interests you and you enjoy that kind of content, make sure to subscribe. That way you can be up to date on all of my latest videos. If you are a recurring viewer, welcome back. Thank you for watching another video from me, and again, apologies for the attire, but it is what it is. This is real life. This is what I look like, honestly, 90% of the time. One day a week, church, do I do my makeup and get ready. Otherwise, I look like this. So, and it's a lazy day. It's a really beautiful day out. I am in the Dallas area, and it feels like a Washington summer, and so it makes me miss Washington. I really want the water, but here I am in the suburbs and get to look out the window to beautiful Stepford wife homes. This is what I call them. But anyways, so this is kind of just like a vlog day, I guess. Yeah, but starting out, this is my Scindapsus. I have had this for several years, honestly, probably 3 or 4 years. I got it as a small little pot of 4-inch, plant. And over the years, I have just chopped it. And finally, last year, I can't remember when, I just decided to chop it all off, because I actually find that Scindapsus are hard to care for. I had a Scindapsus trebui. I searched all of 2020 for one of those suckers because they were so popular. Got one, did not like it. It was very difficult to take care of. They actually need a lot of light, I found, to grow properly. And it's the same thing with Scindapsus. So I have 2 Scindapsus that I have held on to. This one, couldn't tell you. Just a general Scindapsus. Like, I don't know the Exotica, Pictus, Silverian, whatever they are. I know that some of them have bigger foliage, so my other Scindapsus in the bedroom, it has a lot larger foliage, and I've propagated that several times, but these guys need a lot of light. They need a lot of light to grow and grow well. So I decided to just chop it all back because it was growing very leggy and just super far in between each leaf. And so I chopped it all up, and this is what I'm working with. So the propagation went really well. Like, it's super well propagated, or grown, whatever. It's root system here, super healthy, great. But I did this setup, okay? I did this setup. I don't really know why. Sorry, the light, but I don't know why I did this. I don't know why, but the cup, yeah, I really don't know why. Okay, we're just gonna go from there. So I have this in water, and this is the cup. I think it was one of those thought processes where I think I was going to put perlite in the cup, and then keep the overall cup filled with water. That way it could just soak it up when it needed it and I could refill it, but I never put the perlite in it, so I just did water. I need to figure out how to get this all off of here and pot these up because it looks, oh, that was actually far easier. Okay, here we go. It looks so good. Like the root system is super healthy. It's very like just taken over here. Do have a few dead leaves here that I can just pick off and whatnot, like yellowing leaves. Yes, I pick them off. I don't leave them. I understand they could still give energy back to the plant. I just want them gone. So that is that. I really don't know how many cuttings are in here. So I think my original thought for this guy was to chop it all up and then pop them and sell them. So I could still do that because I did a pop-up last December at a plant shop, or really it was like a landscaping nursery here in Rockwall, Texas. And it went really well. And yeah, I think that was my thought, was if I ever do something like that again, I could just sell them there because it is a really great plant and it's very pretty. They are easy to take care of on the watering side. It's just the light side. And so I don't have the best light in this house. I have a lot of grow lights. Before moving here to Texas in this house, I lived in Washington and we had big, huge bay windows all around the house. And so all of my plants just sat in the bay windows. They were south and west facing bay windows, east facing bay window. And so I had a lot of light to play around with. I never had to supplement with grow lights, but now here I have to supplement with grow lights. I do not have any outside light that I really can utilize here well, I guess. So my space is limited on what I can have, and this guy just didn't fit my collection. So that is why I chose it to propagate and sell. Now, I have also thought about doing an Etsy store for plants or something. Let me know in the comments if you've ever done that before. I follow a few people who do that. Queen City Tropicals. She actually, I think that's Tropics or Tropicals. She just moved to a new website. Like, she sells plants. She sells a lot of rare plants. Okay, these are just basic plants, so maybe no one's interested. But I do have some rare plants that I thought it would be really fun to sell and to be able to ship out. But I don't know if that's feasible for myself or how to do that. Like, my worst fear is I do that and then the plants end up dying in transit. So I would only do it like during the spring and summertime. Not even gonna mess around with the winter, but that is my thought on that, or just sign up for a local fair thing like I did and sell them. So need to figure out that. And then I'm back to this plant, this Jopii philodendron. I treated it again. Did I treat it again? I did not. I forgot, I ran out and then I bought it. So this guy has mealybugs. I saw more mealybugs on them, or on the plant when checking it out for the video I did on this. And so it's the red flags for plant stores. So I need to take this back out and spray it down, but honestly, it's growing really well. Can you see that aerial root right there that's growing in? It's growing really well. Like, it pushed out the new foliage and it has a new leaf on the way again. So it's doing awesome. Like, it's not really affecting it for some reason. A lot of times mealybugs will decrease the growth and the progress of a plant, and it will make the other foliage like dead. Like, it will kill the foliage. I mean, that is what it's supposed to do. It won't make it dead. It will kill the foliage. So this is on my list as like a thing I need to look at. And then what else have I got? This Brazil, I need to repot probably. Maybe not. It just sits up here. I just forget to water it all the time. But this is a really pretty philodendron, super easy to care for. I would choose this, a Brazil, over a Rio philodendron. So I have a Rio philodendron. It's just silvery, like variegation instead of this lime green, but it doesn't push out great growth at all whatsoever for me. It needs a lot of light and it needs something to climb. This, on the other hand, pushes out really great variegation in low light with nothing to climb. So just my opinion about it. If you are looking for a variegated heartleaf philodendron like this, definitely Brazil. It's beautiful. But what else do I have? This ZZ plant I've been holding on to, oh my gosh, for, you know, years. I bought this for $2.98. Honestly, 4 years ago, probably, when they were, again, really popular and you couldn't find them in a large form for anything under like $100. There was no way I was paying for that. But I just found this guy at Lowe's one day and picked it up. But I've held on to it, never given it the greatest light. It has just sat here in my office now under a little Sansy grow light. But it probably could do with a potting up. Like, it's got roots coming out the bottom, but at the same time, I'm like, do I want to hold on to it? It is not a plant that fits into any of my collection other than the fact that it enjoys lower light and can tolerate it. And that is why I've kept it around. So I'm just gonna put this back up here, I guess. But one of the plants, hold on, that I need to get rid of, which my son will be mad, and I know you can't see me right now. This lovely cactus. So yeah, we bought this years ago, and I just set it there because he really likes cacti. It is growing. It has a new growth point right there. It is the only part of it left because it was sitting in our or behind our kitchen sink, and I kept stabbing myself. So I had to move it, and I chose in here to move it under the Sansy grow light. But now I don't want this, so I am going to throw it away. But it is really entertaining how it has held on really well. But it needs to go. It's got to go. But another plant that's just sitting here is this. This is a reverted Jose Bono. It started to have a bit of variegation coming back, and then it just reverted straight back. So no new variegation coming out of it. I've had it in every sort of light source. I've set it under a Barina grow light where my other plants are. This is a actually really good variegated Jose Bono if you want to know a difference. But this guy just, yeah, I have another cutting of it in my greenhouse shelving unit, and it has not come back either with variegation. So I think I'm just going to either probably toss it, to be fairly honest with you. I don't know what else to do with it, and I really don't know that anybody wants an unvariegated just philodendron like this. Like, the reason that it was, you know, purchased is because it was a variegated one. Now I have heard that the philodendron MB, I think is called, is like the unvariegated version of it. So maybe somebody out there wants an MB. If that's even what it is, I don't know. But I think I'm just kind of tired of holding on to it and having it take up space when it's not doing what I want it to do. If I purchased it for all green, that would be one thing. It does grow well, I will say. I did chop this back several times. Again, I have more of it in my cabinet, but it is growing out right here, and it is growing out right here, this little point. But it is a plant that I definitely just don't feel like I want anymore. So that's that. Okay, looking at my shelving unit, maybe I'll turn you around. Hold on, I'll pause this. So this is the terrible lighting situation I'm dealing with, but this is my greenhouse cabinet right there. My bad. It's not even a cabinet, it's a shelving unit. It's open. It does not have like good stable airflow. Let me try to turn on the light. Maybe it'll work. Does that help at all? No, it doesn't help at all. Now someone's calling me. We're just going to stick with it. But, and it's an unknown number. If anybody's like, that's really rude of her. I don't answer unknown numbers. They can leave me a message. But I, again, have this shelving unit. This is from IKEA, and I purchased it probably 1.5 years ago. And so I have Barina grow lights in like every other cubby, as you can see. And so really those allow for one plant to be underneath of it. It is not for a multiple plant setup to be under there. But I kind of have my like plants spaced out. So right here is my Jose Bono philodendron, which looks really great and has beautiful variegation. I just bought this like a couple months ago. And then at the same time, I purchased, put this back up there, I purchased this philodendron tortum, which has been on a list to try to find, and I found one. I will tell you, it has a ton of extra floral nectaries. Look at, like, I don't know if you can see any of that, but look at all those little dots on those leaves. It's just very intense. So super cool plant, really like it, but super interesting that it's so extra floral nectary. I don't know what to do to get that to be not so intense, because I have a I have my, goodness gracious, philodendron jungle boogie, there we go. And my, like a lot of other philodendron that also produce extra floral nectaries like this. This is just the most like intense one. And so you can see, I just did a care video on my Boletier who also does this, but you can see maybe like the discoloration in the leaves. It's not a pest, I promise. It is the extra floral nectaries that are sitting right behind it, which you can't see because you're focusing on my face, but it's sitting right behind it, and it's just creating that sap that is just taking away the leaf coloring. I don't know, but it's just a very interesting thing. So it sits up there. I try to turn it just to, you know, make it not face the same direction. And then all this other junk here, I have my beautiful variegated Burley Marks philodendron that I absolutely love so much. It has a all white leaf coming out here, and another one down here. Oh, you can't see it down here. That's all white. So it did have a all white spot on it. I actually cut it off just to see, and so you can see that it's coming. Oh, there's the cut point. I cut this twice or maybe once, and I have the rest of it growing in my little greenhouse shelves, and it's doing very well. But I really like how large this one is getting. Look how thick that leaf is right there. So it's going to push out some bigger foliage, which is awesome that it's sizing up. And then I have just random cuttings. It's like this stuff. I really like wish there was a plant swap near me or something that I could just take these to, because I feel like people would like them and they would take them instead of just throwing them away. But this is actually an unnamed philodendron. I do not know the name of it. It was brought home by my husband. I think I've shared this several times. In 2020, the office that he was in was getting cleaned out, and it had been growing there for several years, like a lot of time. And so, sorry, I'm checking my mic, but it's just a mess. And so I took it and I propagated a bunch of it, and I gave it away a bunch of it. And I still have 2 pots of it, and then I have these cuttings. So I've never grown it to what it could, fully be, so I could see and identify it. But I needed to fill it with water or just toss these. I just don't know what to do with them. They sit right here in this dark corner right there. And then up here is my philodendron, or I'm sorry, I'm just so used to saying philodendron. This is my King Veitchii anthurium, and it has a new leaf coming out, and it's really adorable, and I'm really excited about it. It's really interesting how now that I have been looking for one and now I've gotten one, how like accessible they're becoming and in larger forms. So I just saw 2 in a plant shop, one in Dallas and then one in the Houston area, and they were in large pots, and I had never seen one before, like in person. And so I think obviously tissue culture plays into it. They're becoming more readily available, but really beautiful plant, just super fun, unique like foliage. It sits under here as well. And then I have the other half of the plant that was in a baggie, my variegated heartleaf philodendron. I just repotted this guy a couple nights ago up into my soil mix, and I have stuck it under the Barina grow lights. It's got beautiful variegation on it right here, and so I'm hoping to keep that going. I'm just going to make sure to give it really high light. Again, this is a variegated heartleaf philodendron, but I need to give it the max light I can to keep that variegation, because otherwise it's going to just be green. I was saying on my stories on Instagram that I think this is probably the highest or number one like unstable variegation like that I own in a plant, because it is just very unstable, and I've just seen that from other people owning it. So I've never wanted to pay good money for it. I got this for $15 a piece and decided to try it out. So I am excited to see if I can keep that going. So it sits under right back here for now, because again, I don't know what else to do with it at this time. So then on top of my cabinet, I have more stuff that I probably just should throw away. Dead air plant. Like, just get rid of it, okay? Yeah, I killed an air plant. It's fine. I have this cactus that I bought at First Monday, probably a year and a half ago to 2 years. Probably 2 years, actually. It's a very beautiful variegated form, and I really love it, but it doesn't fit my collection. Again, this is like a big thing, is like make sure you're purchasing plants that fit your collection if you're going to collect a lot. But it has grown a lot. So it has new growth here, a ton of new little growth on the bottom. And so it's doing really well. I have it sitting right there, as you saw. But I don't know, this is just like a question one. What do I do with it? Do I still want to keep it? Now these, oh yeah, I have this guy too, this fairy castle. Again, my oldest really likes cacti. And so I bought this fairy castle. It's very unique and very interesting. Part of it did die off, like in the pot you can see right there. The other half of it is doing absolutely great, and it has grown a lot. I just keep it up here and I forget about it, as I just did. But again, it's like, do I want to keep my cactus? What do I do with those guys? But up here, you can see this is my another variegated philodendron burley marks. I need to give it higher light because it's not going to push out variegation very well in this lower light situation that I'm giving it. It is already a lower variegated plant than my little cunning down here. And so I really do want to try to get it to this status of the great, like super light green. But then you have my Monstera aurea here. It has pushed out one new leaf and it has another new leaf on the way. It's doing well. I bought it online. It was like my first online plant purchase, like my true first online plant purchase. And I bought it for $125, which if you're new here to the plant world and you're like, why? Yeah, it's okay. But it is like a $300 plant. I purchased it because it did not look the prettiest. So they were selling them on an online store as an imperfect plant. And so I bought it because, yeah, that's just not, you're not going to get a $300 plant often for $125. And again, I was expecting to like take it to plant shows and like booths and stuff and cut it up and propagate it. So it's kind of like a, you know, a business plan, but I haven't gotten that far. I did propagate this. I air layered it. So actually, let's just see what it is because I'm curious. I air layered it not long ago. So honestly, I don't know if anything will come of it, but here it is in person. So the imperfect part is this, and somebody's like, when I unboxed it, it did it at night, so it was hard to see, but they said like, I think that's a fenestration. It's fine. And I was like, no, it's literally, yeah, like it's not, that's not a fenestration. It's cut, you can see. But this definitely has some damage on it. I probably should spray this down again because I've only sprayed it down once. And I'm looking at it just to make sure that nothing's moving, but I don't see anything. This again is just, you know, cut there. This little leaf looks good. It does have a cut in the center. And then this is the newest, smallest little leaf here. And you can see the slightly variegated leaf right there. And then new growth point. So does not have the highest variegation by any means. This started off really good with a lot of variegation and here as well. But then it just has kind of slowly grown into not a lot. And so again, it's an unstable variegation. You never know what you're going to get. I do need to water it. But down here, the aerial roots were so well established. Look at that guy. And so I decided that I really wanted to cut it back because it has a lot of variegation down on the nodes, like, or down on the petioles below. And then it's, as you get up, the variegation kind of stops. So again, I don't think you're going to see it in this lighting, but usually you can tell a plant and how good of a variegation it's going to have by the petiole. And so here, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a really thick lime green color going all the way through it and has really great variegation down here on these stems. And so I was hoping that if I cut it back, it would kind of go back to that variegation, because up here, there isn't as much variegation. You can see it trails off. It gets a lot thinner up here. And so that's why there isn't as great variegation on this newer leaf. But I thought that maybe if I chopped it back and kind of like started it over, it would start producing it. So this, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to chop it. I really do want to chop it. Like that was, again, my plan and my thought process behind it. It has really good aerial roots already growing into the soil, and it's just doing really well. So now it's whether or not I want to take that risk and chop it, because over the winter, like, I advocate that you can chop your plant at any time. You really truly can. Like if it's an indoor plant, you can propagate it and you can repot it at any point. But some plants are going to go a little like dormant, I have found. Alocasia tend to go dormant, even in the winter in the house. And then I have my philodendron mammii, which I loved and it was so beautiful. And I'm going to grab it right now. It was so beautiful and it was so large and it was growing so well. Sorry, I can't get the pot. And I had this growing in a southwest facing window in my bedroom, and it did really well. I had it on a moss pole. It's not a climber. I found out on the internet, like it's half and half. I saw photos of people, you know, having them as climbing plants, but the majority of them, after started researching it and seeing different people online, they were crawlers. And so I decided to put it in the pot because the bottom foliage was dying off. I kind of kept forgetting to water it. It was a severely, you know, doesn't like to be underwatered. And versus a lot of other, my philodendron like don't mind to dry out. This one does not. It likes a lot of light and it likes to stay well moist. And so I was not keeping it like that, and it started to decay. And so I decided to chop it up, and I did. It actually had, so this is what the plant is currently. It actually had more foliage up top. And so I have, I think, like 3 different cuttings and propagations in my little greenhouse section. I can't find them right now, but I'm pretty sure there's 3. And so it did start to grow immediately from the cut point, which is great. So this is the newest growth. Pushed out this tiny little leaf, which is so cute, and it has one right behind it. But this is what it came from. I bought this plant as a 4-inch plant, and I was so proud of this because it got so large, obviously. I mean, this plant was small when I bought it. Again, 4 inches. It did not have the coloring that this had, and it grew so beautifully. I mean, that leaf is gorgeous. It is, you know, it's bigger than my head. And so then the new foliage, again, it's still big, but again, it started to just drop off because I wasn't keeping the watering well, like consistent. And so I took off the dead leaves, I chopped it, which was my downfall. I think I should have just left it go and just waited. But now I have a lot of this space down here that you can see, like nothing's growing from it. And I really do just regret chopping it. This is my plant regret, is chopping this beautiful plant. And so it's so pretty. And I don't know what to do with it now. Because it's like, yeah. Do I just chop it again back? It should be a crawler, so it's just not, it's not in its crawling position. And this pot is going to grow, it's going to grow out of it very quickly. And so I truly do just want to kind of chop it back and propagate it to see if I can't just restart the whole plant. This is one of my favorite plants. I really love it, and I am mad at myself for, you know, not even mad, but I'm just like, oh, that was a regret. I did that on purpose, by the way, but it was just a regret because now it's kind of like pointless. But I stuck it underneath my Thai constellation, underneath the Stancy Grow Light back here, and just did, because I didn't know what to do with it. And so it is in a long pot. I don't have a lot of room for long pots. I have a really beautiful philodendron McDowell down here in a long pot. I'll show you. This is my McDowell. I repotted this several weeks ago, and it's just, it's beautiful. Like, it's a great plant. It has a new growth point coming out here, and it's growing as it should in a crawling pot. Like, can't see it because of the leaves, but it's growing as it should under the soil, and it's attaching. It's already attached. Like, I did not repot this very long ago. And so it's already got aerial roots growing in, and it's doing super well. I love this plant, but as you can see, it's still pretty large. Like, it's a pretty large plant. It just sits here on the floor, gets ambient light from my Sansi 35 watt. And then I have another plant in a long pot. This is another one of my Gloriosums. So I will tell you that Gloriosums are slow growers. So I have a couple different Gloriosums. I have a few in my cabinet, and then I have this one. It is grown in, it has attached itself into the soil, which is really great. Oh, it has a cute little, I wish I could get, I know you're not going to see that little fresh white baby. Oh, you can, yes, the fresh white baby root. So it's grown in and it's done really well. It's just a slow grower. It just does not grow as quickly to the pace as my McDowell does. So I have it in the same, like underneath the Sansi 35 watt light. It gets light, like full light, just not a lot. But I got them at the same time. I got the Philodendron McDowell and Gloriosum 1 week apart. And so my Gloriosum, you know, look at this. This is my Gloriosum. And then this is my McDowell. Oops, hit that. My McDowell. 1 week apart. Isn't that crazy? The McDowell is a hybrid of the Gloriosum. And so this is just a straight Gloriosum, but I thought it was crazy. So they actually, I would say, get the same or got the same amount of light. This sat in a southwest facing window far back next to my TV console and got, you know, ambient light as well. So yeah, it's just fascinating to see that, but I don't really have space for any more long pots, especially if it's gonna not gonna grow the way it should be growing. And so I do feel like I need to do something about that. What it is, I don't know. And then I have this guy. Look at this. Has anybody been here this long to know that I chopped this all the way back to a stick? Like a couple years ago, like a year and a half ago, when we moved, I had this beautiful fiddle and I loved it. And I was actually good at taking care of it because they just don't like to be moved. I think a lot of people think that they're extremely sensitive. They are, but they just are sensitive towards being moved. And so I do have several leaves that are dead here, but they don't like to be moved. And so obviously we moved. I moved it out of its loving, you know, southwest facing window that got extremely bright light to nothing. And I decided to chop it all back and restart it and see how it did. I grew this in a north facing window. This is how well it's growing. So that's kind of how it's like, yeah, they like light because they are trees. So they do like high light to grow appropriately and the best, but they will grow if you just leave them in their spot and let them go. They will. But now it's starting to yellow because I've kind of forgot about it and neglected it and forgot to water it a lot. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this guy, but maybe I should move it back out into my living room. What's in my living room right now? I have my Mayoi and I have, oh yeah, my Belletier. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I will just stick it in here because it's not the prettiest. However, again, I cut it all the way back to a stick and the stick grew. That's this one right down here. And then I propagated it. This is the top cutting of the mother tree. This is the mid cutting, and just propagated them in water and they all grew. And then I stuck them all back in the pot and they're continuing to grow. And so it's exciting to see. But again, I really wish, like, it takes up a lot of space down here. And so I really wish I could get it out of there and place it somewhere different. Maybe I will. I'm going to set this to the side because I have a Thaumatophyllum, which will go visit my bedroom maybe. And I really don't want my Thaumatophyllum anymore. I really want to get rid of it. I really want somebody to take it. I rehabbed that as well. And I just realized I'm not into rehabbing plants. So I have rehabbed it to what it is and it's doing great. I just now don't want it anymore and need to figure out where it needs to go. But this probably would do really well in my southwest facing window bedroom, which does get the best light, but it's only one window and it's a small window. So it's like, what can I put there? Currently my Monstera is there and my Albo Epiprimnum. So we'll take that in there in a minute, but to the side. All that to say is if I did that, it would alleviate or it would make space down here for, you know, more plants. Not more plants, but like rearranging some plants. Let me know in the comments. If you've made it this far in the video, should I chop this all the way back? I'm really curious what you would do. Would you chop it all the way back? And then would you propagate these like portions that don't have leaves as wet sticks? What would you do? I really want to know. And then I'll probably do whatever the overall opinion is. But for right now, I guess I'm just going to stick it back there. That's where it's sitting. And it's just shoved down in this corner. And it's touching the ground. It's a real bummer, but my Monstera, let's just move the camera out. So this is this situation. So I also need to figure out this. This is my Monstera Esqueleto. I recently cut off 2 of the new leaves to propagate them. It's just pushing out runners from one of the older positions still, but this is my Thai Constellation, and its newest leaf right there. If you've seen previous videos, you'll know that I struggled with this guy, and I can see that there's some browning occurring on that foliage, so I don't know if it's due to root rot, which they are very susceptible to. I really try to watch my watering on this guy and do not water it a lot, but then that also leads to being underwatered and creating brown spots. But down, that's where my Mammy Eye sits. And then this is where my Gloriosum sits. So you can see it's getting light, it's getting full lit leaves. And then my fiddle sat right here in that perfect circle. So this was kind of being smashed against it, but I really just think I need to cut it and restart it, unfortunately. And then this Esqueleto, I really don't know what to do with it either. I really probably by springtime would like to get rid of it as well. I've just got a bunch of little pots here too. This is El Choco Red. Will not be getting rid of these. Love this plant. Little Thai, Melanochrysum that I'm just, you know, not in love with because of spider mite issues. And then my really giant, my super giant pothos, golden pothos. I did this last year maybe, or maybe the year before, but I remade it. I got it at Lowe's or Home Depot for 20 bucks, and it was on like a trellis, maybe up to here. And it was just filled, and it was crazy. It was dying because all of it was just shoved in a pot and stapled to it. So I undid it all, and this is what it's started to grow to. So it's gotten some really large, look at this large leaves, really beautiful. And so it's gone crazy again. I need to cut it back or do something like, you know, where I'm putting the vines back to the moss. Yeah, it's going crazy, but that's a project for another day because look at this. The vines are just going everywhere, and it's just growing constantly. I do not water the pot, this big 2-gallon pot. I water the moss pole only, and it has done this. So it's very low maintenance in my personal opinion. But yeah, I've got a tower there. So this is kind of what I'm working with. And then I have that's where my Brazil sat. That's where my ZZ plant sat. This is another one plant that I'm just like bummed that I cut back. This is a Philodendron Ploumani, and it's now finally started to grow back to what it was, but it was growing really large, and it just was growing out of all of my spots, and so I had to chop it back just to keep it kind of tamed. But it took it a really long time for it to grow back to this. And some of the foliage I have cut up in my greenhouse, but it's a lot larger. And so I'm excited to finally see it growing. When I purchased this plant, this is primarily what the leaves look like. There was no silver or anything on them. It was a very small 4-inch pot. Actually, I think this is the same pot. And so it's finally started to push out that silvery pattern, which they're known for, and it's a very beautiful plant. Need to water it as well, but it just sits up here under this Sansi clip light, and then next to my Syngonium albo, which I love, not getting rid of that. And then I need to figure out this. This is a Varicosum that I recently got I got this from Petus Planters. I'm gonna set it on the ground, sorry. But I got this from Petus Planters a couple weekends ago, and it's doing really well. It's such a beautiful plant. And so I'm really into the velvet philodendron with the very interesting like veining and stuff, like the El Choco red. But beautiful plant. Look at those fuzzy petioles right there. And so I need to figure out, I have it in this glass pot, and I wasn't sure if I was going to pot it up in that or not. There's several plants in one, but super beautiful plant. It just is kind of sitting up there for the time. I'm already getting worn out, but this is the greenhouse cabinet. I actually went through this the other day, and everything is doing really well. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I've got a lot of different larger cuttings. This is a Paraiso Verde in there, which just is reverted back to basically all green because I do not have the heat for it. These are the cuttings that I took from my Esqueleto that grew out. So if you saw my video, like care video previously, it wasn't doing well, and then I chopped it back and changed its position, and so it did start pushing out new growth. So I decided to chop those off, chopped it, and they both rooted really well. And so this is a wet stick propagation, this one that's sticking up the farthest of my Esqueleto, and then I have another one that's probably buried back here. Oh no, it's right there, right here. That is my little Esqueleto. You can see the little fenestration, but again, it was a wet stick propagation. Nothing was there, and it sprouted 2 new leaves. So that one and that leaf right there, you can see the fenestrations in those 2. And then Gloriosum and Manjula and Micans that's taking over, and a bunch of stuff down here. There's some of my Scindapsus that is in my bedroom, and a lot of Mayoi. Okay, so if you aren't new to my channel, you'll know this backdrop. So this is where I used to film my videos. This is our bedroom, and this is where I house a lot of different plants of mine. So this window right here, you can see here is this lovely light, is the only southwest facing window that gets adequate light. Let me move. So this, yeah, it's the only window that gets like the best direct light like this. Otherwise, the south facing windows that I have are very covered and do not get bright light like this. So I moved all of my more important plants, I would say, in here, and I have just kept them in this lovely window. Now I'll move out of the light. Okay, so this is where I've kept a lot of my plants. So you can see my Queen Anthurium right here. I have my Albo Epiprimnum right here. I have a reverted Albo, my Philodendron Ring of Fire down here, my Neon Philodendron, just a ton of things in here that are growing. And this is primarily like the good growth, I would say, like because they're getting light from the southwest facing window, and they are also getting light from the grow lights. And so a lot of my plants in here are doing extremely well and always do well. I also have my humidifier, which I don't think you can see it. It's a Govee Govee smart humidifier, which I love. I've had it for over a year now. And so I keep it here because my Philodendron Queen likes it. And I had my Mamii in here, and it liked the humidity. It did a lot better, I found, in the humidity. And then what else did I have? I don't even remember what else I had sitting there that was more of like a rare or uncommon plant. But I kind of just keep my plants that I like the most, I think, in here in my bedroom, because again, it's the good light, and so I want to give them the best light. And so I guess I can show you what I've got going under here. Okay, so this is my Monstera deliciosa that I propagated and chopped all the way back. It was in my living room, and so it looks kind of sad now, but it actually is doing well. This guy isn't doing well. Probably could just take it out. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, it just needs to go there or something. But it has pushed out 2 new leaves, these guys. And then this is new growth right here. So it does have some stuff happening. This looks sad. I tried to wash it off, and that was a fail. Yeah, that sits here, my Epiprimnum, my Thaumatophyllum that I was saying, like, I just really want to get rid of that plant and maybe put my, ouch, I hurt my knee, my Ficus lyrata here. So let's just switch it out and see. let's just take this guy away and then put my fiddle, because my fiddle would love the light. I know that it would. Oh my gosh, it would be drowned. It wouldn't even know what to do with itself. It'd be in so much light. Look at that. That's where it needs to be. That's where it needs to live out its life in order to grow well. So yeah, maybe I'll keep that there. It looks kind of pitiful. This is where I don't even care what it looks like. I just have plants shoved in a corner. In all my other decor, I really do try to make it not look like I'm just shoving plants everywhere I can. But this is my bedroom. Nobody comes in here, so I don't feel bad. But I think that's where it's going to be. I think this Thaumatophyllum is going to go outside. I think I'm going to put it on the porch and see how it does. It's been really beautiful out. I'm you know, just going to believe that it's going to do well, and then I'll figure out what to do with it and who I can give it to. But I'll take you in a closer look for my Epiprimnum albo, which is right here. I grew this from a 4-inch pot. It's done extremely well. I know the sun is going to be extremely bright, but it is like rooted in. You can see here it's got a ton of aerial roots. It's rooted in all the way around. Like, I can't pull that off, and just grown beautifully. So the better the light, the higher the light, I would say, the better the variegation. So it gets a lot more white. The lower the light, the less variegation it gets, just as an FYI. I've seen a lot of people grow these and grow them into large forms, like what they're supposed to be, which again, this lighting is awful, but if they don't give them high light, the variegation just kind of goes away. Adequate light, sure, I give it direct light like this. And so this is where it sits 24/7, every day of the year. Do not move it back, do not pull it away. I just rotate it to try and get like an even variegation, but you can see like this is the sun. This is the part where the sun sets. Oh man, okay, hold on. Maybe I'll try to move you. Hold on, I gotta move around. This will be a fun unedited video if I do that. So this side, look at this variegation. It's so great. It's got great fenestrations. The variegation on it is beautiful, and it's a lot of white. It sits to the window. Turn it to the part that doesn't sit by the window. Look at the variegation. Doesn't have a lot of white. All of it is smaller. This has barely any white. This one does have a fenestration, but it is not the same as this side. So I will tell you, face it to the light, try to turn it the best you can consistently, because again, the brighter it is, the more white and variegation you will get. So just a fun fact. Not really fun fact, just a fun observation or experiment that I did. And then I have a lot of plants, like obviously up here on these shelves. So I have a Philodendron Splendid that I just got from, whatever that Irving place is, Green Gardens, Green Acres. And so I'm excited about this because it is a Philodendron Melanochrysum hybrid. I really like the Philodendron Melanochrysum. I love the velvet leaves, as I stated earlier. However, the Melanochrysum just got spider mites continuously for me. And so I had to just say bye-bye to it basically. So I chopped it all back. And this guy, I don't know, I'm experimenting, seeing what will happen since it is a hybrid. I've heard that it acts better than the Melanochrysum, and it is less pest, calls to pests. It's a little bit more pest resistant, if you want to say, but not that it can't ever get pests. And then, man, it's hot in this room too. So because of the heat in this room, I moved my other Paraiso Verde in here to see if it would give me back any of the original variegation it was pushing out, and it never did. So chopped it all back. That's what I'm getting. It's not a plant that I particularly care about, I guess. It was a cool plant. I got it for $23 at Native Plant Shop in Florida, so I did travel back home with it. But just the variegation on it, you have to have heat, and so it is a heat variegated or variegation, meaning it likes a high temperature in order to give it that really pretty marbled variegation. And I just don't have that high temperature. And so, I think it was, I always forget her name. She's from New Orleans, and said that hers, like it was 90 degrees or something like that in her home, and her Paraiso Verde was pushing out like super white, I mean lime green white variegation, beautiful. And she was like, what? And then in the wintertime, she moved it back from the window and it started pushing out like green leaves, and she's like, oh. And so that's who I'm getting that information from. I just cannot remember her handle right now, but I do like to follow her on Instagram and YouTube, because she does have really unique plants and good information, because I would have never known that. But I just keep it up here next to my queen, who is very unhappy with me at this time. I shared it in my video when I did the DIY self-watering planter. I need to find a self-watering planter for it, so that way it doesn't get so angry with me. The new foliage, like this is the old foliage right here, which I know you can't really see it. This leaf over here is old. It looked like that when I got it. This is the new foliage, but you can start to see that it's kind of, no, you can't, hold on. Let's pull it closer. So if I just tip this up here, the foliage on it is starting to brown down here and get yellow spots, which the yellow spots, I'm not sure if it's a fungus issue. I have treated it for that, and they just kind of keep coming back, so I'm not really positive what to do on that. Otherwise, I have like a pretty variegated Maranta up here that sits here. I have my Clarinevrum, which I just repotted it into this brass pot. It's so cute. Yes, I did put drainage holes in it. This is like the third time I've put a plant in a brass pot, and so it does really well. If anyone is wondering, just add drainage holes to it. But beautiful Clarinevrum. And then I have my Stanleyana elbow back here, which is really far in the back. And then I have a bunch of plants down here that I'll share. So this is my not Florida green. This is my Jungle Boogie, but the Ring of Fire edition. So it's got really pretty variegation on it. Doesn't have like the best or highest variegation that I've seen on a Ring of Fire, but it just is adequate and it does really well. And then this plant here, this is my beautiful neon philodendron, which honestly I love so much, and it's just like a basic plant that you can find anywhere, but it is a beautiful like lush pot and it grows so well. I did chop this off last year and it just has grown right back to where it started. And so just a gorgeous plant that I really love, but it sits under here. I haven't moved it. And then I have a Shiveriana ficus. Sorry, my children like to move the frog around. I have this Shiveriana and I think it's very beautiful. It just sits right here. I haven't noticed that, you know, it's not like a fiddle. This is a rubber tree. So I do notice that you can let them dry out a little bit more and they don't need as high of light, but I try to give it the highest light because of the variegation on it. And so that's why I kept that under there. And then over here is this is a painted lady and a Mandula. My original Mandula is back here, which I chopped this guy several times and he's growing back and doing really beautifully. And then I have this Florida Ghost that I recently repotted and potted up. It's doing really well. It's finally starting to get to its more mature state. I bought this as like a little tissue culture plant like a year ago. And then I have just some random stuff. I don't know. I have like a Hoya down here. I don't collect Hoya. This was from a friend's grandma and it was like a super old one, like 50 something years or something. It was massive. And I took cuttings from it. And then this is my Philodendron Rio. I was telling you in the office, like if you go for a Philodendron and you want a variegated one, go for a Brazil, because this is the Rio. I give it great light, but it just does not have the greatest variegation. Just is kind of disappointing. I didn't pay a lot of money for it. I paid $8 for this plant and in a little 4-inch pot. So it's grown a lot. It's not that it doesn't grow, it's just the variegation on it isn't super fantastic or anything to write home about. I have noticed that on one specific vine, the leaves on it have started to turn to be like all yellow. You can see that. But that's a first. So it's going to be like a lime green, maybe a cream. I'm not really sure, but otherwise, this is normally what the variegation looks like. Just one little stripe. So Not anything spectacular, not like it's a terrible plant or anything. It's just not something I personally love. And then this is my sad looking but blooming Silverband Maranta. I also need to get a self-watering planter for this guy because it needs one. And I just find that they do much better in self-watering planters, but it will flower. Mine flowered all the time last year really well. And they're such tiny little dainty flowers and they're so cute. But that is that guy. And then I have, well, I had, yeah, let's talk about another snail. So I had this pink princess, mother plant. Oops, let me step out of light. Mother plant, and it didn't do well. I don't love the pink princesses. I just kind of gave up on it because the variegation was just not good and not what I wanted, and I couldn't figure out what to give it to get it to better variegation. I think it just, the overall plant just didn't have great variegation. And so I chopped it all back and I propagated it several times, and I've actually given the propagations away and sold some of them. And so, but one of the propagations that I did had all pink. See that right there? All pink started growing out from it. And I just let it go, let it grow, and it was doing really well. And then I repotted it because one part of it was just all burgundy and I wanted to get rid of that part. And so I transplanted it into its own pot, and this is what happened. It did not like that. It was already in the soil mix, so it just didn't like being transplanted. It like shocked it, and I killed off all the pink white or the pink leaves, which was really a bummer. Like, look at that. I have a picture of it, maybe. I think I have a picture of it when it was in its full glory, but I was really hoping to see if it would grow any further or, you know, grow better. It is continuing to grow. Like, I see new growth coming out of the dead and dying pink leaves, like right there. Not that it's focusing, but yeah, I need to water it, but it was just kind of a bummer. You got to keep them in lower light, I found, to have the better variegation. And then I have it next to a humidifier as well, so I think that was helping it. But then I just, yeah, had to go and touch it, and that's what happened. But here we are. Okay, well, I think I'm going to sign off because that was pretty much it. And now I need to kind of go clean it, actually, like clean it up. But that was it. That was my like spring cleaning, what I need to do. I also need to go through and clean off my leaves and like clean off the area around it and just see what needs to be repotted. I again repot all the time. I don't move my plants away from the window during the winter, and I don't stop fertilizing them. So really in the springtime, nothing is new, like nothing I need to like pick back up on or do. I just need to focus on, okay, what plants do I want to get rid of now? What plants haven't grown well, and what do I need to do about them? And then figure out from there what I want to do. So let me know in the comments for real about the philodendron mammii. If you had that plant and it looked like that, would you chop it or would you leave it and let it grow? I really am interested because I don't know what to do about it. I know something needs to be done about it. What that might be, I'm not sure, but I would really like to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, we'll see you next time, and thank you so much for joining us. Or thank you so much for joining me. It's not us, it's just me today. But thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.